Welcome, everybody. Great to see you guys here. Welcome, Olivier. Glad you make it in time, because otherwise I would have had to give the presentation. So I'm glad about that. Yeah, great to be here as always, I guess. I'm happy that people are still interested in DQMH, specifically in DQMH 7.0, our greatest version yet. And yeah, today I'd like to take some time to talk you through what's new in DQMH 7, but also maybe spill a few beans about what's going on behind the scenes at the DQMH consortium. And then also later on, hopefully we'll have Matthias on to talk a little bit about what other offerings the DQMH consortium has been working on, is working on, and what we're close to release in the near future. So first of all, this is what we're talking about, what's new in DQMH 7.0. There is a release notes page, of course, on our DQMH wiki. Here is the URL. I'm quite sure that we will have a space to share the slides afterwards, so you don't need to take notes right now. We will make this public. And before we talk about what's new in 7.0 specifically, I would like to see, I'm not sure if there is a show of hands or anything like that. Does everybody know what DQMH actually is? Is there anybody who is not familiar with DQMH and thought this is the perfect opportunity to learn more about it? Can you quickly type into the chat, maybe? Nobody's typing, so I guess everybody knows what DQMH is, which kind of saves us some time, I guess. We don't have to get into the details of that. Seeing as I took the time to put together the slide, I will just repeat that it's the Delacroix queued message handler, which was invented by Fabiola 3 years ago. When was it, Olivier? The consortium took over?
More than 2 years.
More than 2 years. I mean, time flies when you're having fun, so it could have been even more. But yeah, these days, the DQMH consortium is actually a separate entity, a corporation, whose task it is to make sure the DQMH is here to stay and to make sure that we continue our work on making it better and greater and keeping it available for the whole developer community around. So I think this was a clever move by Delacroix to make sure that you're not dependent from a single company as it usually is. And also the other way around, the responsibility is huge to create a tool for the community to see how people are building their businesses on that tool or around that tool. So we do feel that responsibility on our shoulders, and we work hard to make sure that DQMH is the best it can be for all of you guys and for ourselves. I mean, truth be told, of course, we have built our businesses around DQMH as well. And this is also the reason why we need to earn money with and through DQMH. It's not a secret. The DQMH consortium is a not-for-profit organization, which doesn't mean that we don't need money to maintain DQMH and to invest into making it better and greater. And that's why we will have a small section later on in this presentation that will talk about how we aim to do that. And rest assured, DQMH will always stay free. DQMH will never be a paid-for product. This is kind of written in our statutes. But we are trying to be clever, finding ways to still make money so we can invest into DQMH and into the products. And it's important to point out, I think, that all the money that we make through DQMH, through the DQMH consortium, is invested into the product. So the people working on DQMH are earning their money elsewhere. Anything that we can come up with is invested into this tool. Now, with that being said, I wanted to quickly highlight why HSE, my company, thinks that DQMH is a great tool. I don't want to hijack the presentation, actually the other way around. We have voiced for our customers why we think it's a good idea to work with DQMH, and I want to point out two things really today. It's the maturity and the availability. DQMH probably, looking at download numbers, looking at EIPM, looking at other places, is a very popular framework right now. I dare say the most popular third-party framework in the Latvia ecosystem. And that means that it's being used by many people for lots of projects, right? So it must have been used by, probably tens of thousands of people for thousands of projects. Meanwhile, over the years, it has been vetted by the most clever heads that are out there in the DQMH ecosystem, in the NI ecosystem. And we all can rest assured that it's a very robust tool to build your project on. And the other aspect that's important, I think, to point out is the availability of resources. And that can be anything. That can be documentation, that can be developers to bring on board, that can be other partners to subcontract to. And I think this is an important aspect when we talk to our customers about why to use DQMH. It's because you're not locking yourself in, right? It's a free tool. There are people out there who know their way around it. And the DQMH consortium is also working on that to make sure that this ecosystem grows. So we have that program that is called the DQMH Trusted Advisors, where we bring on other companies to broaden our support base to make sure that customers all around the world have people that they can approach and that they can talk to, maybe even contracts to help them with their work. So just to make sure that we continue to drive home this point, it's important for us to state the point that we really pour our heart blood into this project. It's not for making money, it's for making sure that the tool is great and it stays great. And while I'm actually talking about that, I want to say how great it is to be on this ride together with my colleagues, with Fabiola and Luis, with Olivier and Matthias. It's a great ride, it's a great team, and I appreciate being able to be part of that. So thank you guys. Okay, so enough with the chit chat. Somebody will say, what are you getting today? We'll be talking about DQMH 7.0.1. And I want to highlight the 0.1 because I think it's an important milestone in our infrastructure. And Olivier, maybe you want to talk about it later. We have automated much of the build process. Well, probably all of the build process really for DQMH. So we are able to leverage continuous integration mechanics to automate the build of the product, to automate the generation of the documentation. And this has really made our life so much easier and has made it possible to deliver hot fixes to you guys, right? When we now see a problem, when we now see that even though we spend a lot of time in testing, something missed, something slipped through, and the broader the user base, the broader the type of projects that we are throwing DQMH at, I mean, there is a likelihood that we miss things. So whenever we encounter some of these problems, we can really just dive into it, create a hotfix, and release it more or less with a button click. So all of the good, I mean, everybody knows that I'm a sucker for continuous integration and for automation. I talk about it until the cows go home. But this time, I was in a convenient situation to just lean back and watch Olivier and Matthias implement those things. So they did an awesome job with that. And yeah, again, kudos to the guys for making this possible. Sorry, I was jumping my own gun now. And that's why we can publish DQMH 7.0.1. So 7.0 with 19 new features, 18 changes, and 7 fixes. I didn't recount those numbers, but I found them somewhere. So Olivier, I hope you did a thorough job in counting those. We want to talk about all of these because 45 minutes are not enough for that, but we'll point out the most important ones. And then, if time allows, at the end of this meeting, we will talk about the other offerings that the DQMH consortium has waiting for you guys. We have talked about Lumos, that's already released. We did release our test suite recently, which is a vAnalyzer collection that makes sure that you're adhering to the DQMH consortium style guide, which in itself is another open source offering, actually, that you can use as a springboard for your own things. And then we'll have a few other things that we want to talk about. So with that being said, I think without further ado, Olivier, can I hand over to you?
Yes, of course. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, Jörg, for the introduction to the demo. And it is a pleasure to work with you too. So lots of features have been released with the latest version of DQMH, as you said. I'm going to demonstrate 6 of them. And first thing, if you want to try those features, is to check out that you have the 7.01 version installed on VIPM. That's the first thing. And one thing to say, and I try to do it for the 6 feature I want to demonstrate today, is most of the feature we implement in DQMH come from the users. We have the feature request website you can find on ni.com, where you can post new idea, new feature request, and we can select them to implement in the new version of DQMH. So the first new feature come from Chris Farmer at the beginning and many other developers. The idea was to be able to add helper loop programmatically. An helper loop, for the record, is a new loop you can add in your module at the bottom of the module, and that is going to handle a repeated task you want to do in parallel of the message handling loop. And this is something the DQMH consortium always encourage you to do, to implement this kind of repeated code execution. And now you can do it programmatically. So you have a new menu in the DQMH consortium menu, and you can, on one module, add helper loop to DQMH module. So here I'm going to select the clonable module I have, and let's call this, let's give a name to this helper loop. You can have multiple helper loop in DQMH module. And when I click OK, you can see the code running in the background that has added the new helper loop. So that's not a complex code to do, but it's still something you can do in 2 clicks, and it's really convenient. That was the first feature we added in 7.0. It was one of our main goals. But with this feature, we have other really important features related to this helper loop. Now, when you create a request, and I'm going to open the scripting tool, you have, if you are used to this window, you can see that we added lots of options now. And the first option I want to talk about is now you can target the loop you want to handle the request. So I selected the clonable module. I added the helper loop. And then I can say, I want the helper loop to handle the request I'm going to create. So let's say we want to start the helper loop. I'm just clicking on the OK button. I'm not, I can add an option in the request. Let's say I want to set a specific period to my helper loop execution. Just put it in E32, and then I click the OK button. And so the helper loop, I didn't explain that, but the helper loop is a new loop that is executing the code periodically in the timeout case. So you need to give a timeout value. So the code is going to execute periodically. Shameless plug here, I will be given a 50-minute presentation on how to get a correct periodic execution of an helper loop. I think it's at 4 p.m. Today, UTC. So I added this new request, and you can see that the request is directly handled by the helper loop. And I can, and because it's a clonable module, I have all the code needed to handle the request if it's addressed to the specific instance of the module. And I can set my new execution period directly in this case. So you can create a new helper loop. You can decide which loop is going to handle the new request. And we also added a new feature in the request creation. I'm opening again the window of the creation. I'm selecting the clonable module, and you can see now that we have a scoping for the request. So by default, a request is public. You can use the request wherever you want in your application. But now you can also create private requests. So we want to send a message to a loop in your module, and you don't want this request to be used outside of your module. You set the module, the request creation to be private to this module. And you have another option. If you have a clonable module, if I try to create a private request on a singleton module, you don't have access to this local instance only because it's a singleton, you have just one instance running at the same time. But for the clonable type of module, you can have multiple instances of the module running at the same time. So you can choose the request to be local to a specific instance. I'm not going to create this request right now. I think you have the main idea. But we really focus on how you can handle the requests in your code. Last thing we added in the request creation is the capability of setting for the request and wait for a reply. So we send a request to a module and we wait for a reply. By default, in the previous version, the timeout of the reply waiting was the timeout of the default timeout of the module. Now you can decide that instead of using the module timeout, you want to use a custom timeout value. And if I'm creating this request, you can see that in the, if you had the curiosity of opening a request VI, this is by default the timeout of the module. And here we have directly the new timeout and the custom timeout we set in the dialog box. Fifth feature I want to talk about is something really interesting when you have lots of modules in your application. All the tools, the scripting tools you have that request, and I'm still opening the same function. When you open a tool that is related to a module, you have this, you need to select a module. This list of modules is now sorted alphabetically. And this is a request. I forget to mention who was at the origin of this new request. So this one is from Cyril Gambini. And I was really happy when I see this request posted, because when you have application with more than 50 modules, it's really difficult to find the module if it's not sorted alphabetically. So it was a really simple feature to add, but it's really convenient. I'm using DQMH 7.0 since the end of last year, and this is something I really appreciate each time I'm opening this kind of window. And the last feature I want to talk about is a small one, also a feature that comes from the feature request. It was Conan that posted the feature request. We have reorganized the way the VI are organized in a module. In a module. So basically, we keep the usual organization, but if you open the private folder, you can see now that we have reorganized things in this private folder to find the constant VI, the error VIs, all the function linked to the framework, and the type def. So now it's easier to find a specific VI in each modules. I think I'm done with the demo. So Jörg, I hand it over to you.
Well, this is really too quick, I think. Jasper, you pointed out correctly, the artificial intelligence is not as artificial as you think it is. But it's not only me. Like I said, there is no I in DQMH, right? We're a team. Anyhow, sorry, I'm just referring to a joke that Jasper made in the chat. So read up on that if you want. Thank you, Olivier, for the quick insight. We've given the presentation a few times now on different occasions, and I think this was the quickest one so far, which leaves us more time to talk about other things. So we are thankful about that. So Matthias, if you're around, can I hand over to you? Should I share my slides?
Yes.
Do you need it? Okay, I'm happy to do that. Just a tiny second. And there we go.
Thank you, Jörg. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to discuss about some of the other DQMH offerings that we propose with the DQMH consortium. That most of them you can find them already on our website. Some others are work in progress. I'll discuss about them. I'll start with Lumos, which is actually the first icon you can see on the top left. Lumos is a commercial product we recently launched with the consortium. Olivier presented about it, I never remember, 2 or 3 years ago at this same GLA summit. And there was a lot of excitement around what he demonstrated because Lumos basically is able to automatically create a sequence diagram of the execution of your DQMH modules and the interaction, the communication going on between the DQMH modules within a LabVIEW application. So this is a really great tool for debugging your application, for also documenting your application. And so after all this excitement at the GLA Summit, we decided to really make it a product, and we worked hard, all the consortium, to really make it a product with all what this means, documentation, product page, of course, a lot of testing we've made on the product, scripting tools, because what Lumos does, it basically puts some trackers into the parts of your DQMH module execution. So in the start module, stop module, in the main VI, in all the request VIs and broadcasts, we put some trackers, and that's how we are able to send messages to some code that will then draw in real time the sequence diagram of what's going on in your application. So that is Lumos. If you want more information, you can of course go on dqmh.org/Lumos, and we have some videos that demonstrate the product. We have also the documentation website that is up to date, and this is a product that you can try. Of course, you can get a 15 days trial to try it on your machine. And this product is sold at $299 for a license that allows a developer to use Lumos on up to 3 computers, and this is a lifetime license for the current major version of the product. So feel free to reach out if you want more information about that amazing product, especially if you have large applications to debug, or if you have a need for documenting, not doing a static documentation like what Antidoc does. If you're not aware about Antidoc, this is one of Overlap's product, which creates all the static documentation, list all the modules, requests, etc., really documenting the architecture of your code. In the case of Lumos, it's really a dynamic documentation. So depending on which button you're going to click, you will get a different diagram drawn by Lumos. We have, if we look at the second icon, is it, what is it, Jörg? Is it the
It is the DTS.
It is the DTS. Okay, DTS stands for DQMH test sequencer. It's a product we are currently, we are actually making it a product to be able to, it's going to be a commercial product as well, to be able to sell it on our web shop. Right now, it's an architecture that is used by many customers around the world in many applications. So this is something we have a lot of experience and feedback. The idea is that it's a test sequencer, and each test of your test sequence is a DQMH module. So we also have scripting tools to make the development easier, and it's using the power of DQMH and the reliability of DQMH behind the scenes. So it's not something that is currently very exposed on our website because it's not yet finished, polished in terms of releasing the product, a commercial product, but this is again something that is widely used already. So if you do have any need in LabVIEW test sequencer, if you are already using DQMH, or if you like DQMH and want to maintain your test steps with through DQMH modules, feel free to send an email to info@dqmh.org or fill the contact form on our website, and we have some videos as well to demonstrate the product. The third one would be probably the style guide.
Nope, it's
Nope.
DCFG.
Oh, DCFG. Sorry.
So
DCFG.
just to take a little bit of guilt off from Matthias's shoulders, these icons are brand new. We created them over the weekend, so he's really not to blame. I am to blame because they obviously don't speak for themselves. So maybe we will have an iteration round for them.
That was not the purpose. I really like them, but yeah, as you said, it's brand new. So DCFG stands for DQMH Configuration Editor. You probably all have some configuration pages in your LabVIEW application, in your test sequencer. Again, the idea is to base this framework on the top of DQMH to get all the benefits of this very popular, tested, and very well tested framework. And again, you're going to build your configuration, build and maintain your configuration pages of your application through DQMH modules. We are at the end of the development, which doesn't mean we are close to release the product in the next weeks, but definitely we are anticipating a release of again, this commercial product. We are anticipating a public release this year in 2024. A previous version of that framework is used again on many applications by several customers already that I've been able to work with. So we are basically making a second pass at this product, and the primary goal was basically to add scripting tools to that. So same experience as DQMH. You're going to go to the tools menu, DCFG, and you can be able to add configuration page to an existing DQMH module, and have many. Be able to have many configuration categories in your application, all that dynamically. So stay tuned for DCFG 2.0, which will go out later this year, and it's going to be a great product because, as you know, probably configuration is something we tend to rewrite over for many applications. So now we're going to provide a framework to do that. The next one I know because we released it last week. It's the VI Analyzer Test Suite, and maybe you heard already about the DQMH Consortium Style Guide that we released last year. The DQMH Consortium Style Guide is a documentation. It's a document. It's available. It's publicly available online from our website. You can browse it in the HTML format or download the PDF. And we aim to provide some better practices in terms of development. What we think is good to do, what we think is not good to do, and basically have some guidance to standardize your way of developing across teams, across your team, across your organization, across maybe teams among other organizations. So based on the experience of all the members of the DQMH consortium and all the trusted advisors, because this is something we reviewed together with our DQMH trusted advisor, we came with this document of several pages that aims to give you some of the better practices we think you should apply on your code. And the VI Analyzer Test Suite, which is a commercial product, is a set of VI Analyzer tests that allows you to verify that you satisfy those guidelines in an automatic fashion that you can run through CI/CD or manually just by running VI Analyzer from your tools menu. It also provides some of the LabVIEW development environment customizations that you probably all do when you set up your machine, like connect your paint to required, separate compile code from source code, this kind of stuff that we all do every time we set up a new machine. So this test also includes this configuration. But so basically, this is a VI PC, a VI package, and just installing the VI package will configure your development machine and install all the DQMH consortium VI analyzer tests on your machine. I'll continue with the training. So DQMH comes with a lot of documentation. We revamped completely our documentation website recently. You're going to be able to find the what's new for each version and the specific documentation for each version of DQMH, although we encourage you to always use the latest version, of course, but we understand sometimes it takes time to upgrade a code base. So all that is very well documented, but if you are interested in getting training, we also have some training material that basically our DQMH trusted advisors can use to give you the proper training for DQMH. We have DQMH trusted advisors in many areas of the world, so feel free to get in touch with us if you are interested in training. There is also a form on our website, dqmh.org/training, that you can fill if you want to maybe request some custom training, because this is something also we are able to provide, and we work with you upfront to maybe gather some requirements you have specifically to an application you're currently working on, and we can then work on a custom training. So we have plenty of resources and options, so just feel free to ask, don't hesitate. And yeah, between also the members of the consortium and our DQMH trusted advisors, there are a lot of possibilities. And you see this little icon on the top right with the little heart. As Jörg said, we are a non-for-profit organization, but maintaining and improving and making alive the community around DQMH and the framework costs us money. We have, test plans that we run by several developers that give us their time to make sure we run several hundreds of tests before each release. Many of them are, some of them are automated. Many of them are manual because it would be very hard to automate, everything that is UI testing is not something that is easily testable. And thanks for DQMH to provide all these scripting tools, these productivity tools through UIs. So we have a lot of testing that is done, and all that costs money. So you are welcome to donate to the DQMH consortium if you're a fan, if you want to support us, if you want to help us ensuring our mission will continue to stay. So you can go to dqmh.org/donate, or just at the menu bar there is a donate button, and we accept any kind of donation starting at $10, of course. But you can also buy us a coffee next time you see us, but it's not going to go into DQMH consortium's pockets. but we always accept coffee, beer, whatever. So I believe I mentioned everything. Did I forget something? It's already plenty of offerings around the DQMH framework. Don't forget to also go on the DQMH forums toolkit, on the DQMH toolkits forum on ni.com, and you can find all the information from our website. We are a living organization. We work on a lot of stuff. We are doing we are working on several aspects of the DQMH framework. So feel free to visit our website regularly, because it changes a lot. Sometimes we find out that we should probably put some of those things into a new section, etc. So we try to provide all the transparency needed, all the documentation. We have an expert in documentation in our team, thanks to Olivier. So we make a work to always stay on the top of those good practices. So feel free to visit our website regularly to be informed. There is if you scroll down at the very bottom of our website, you can subscribe to our newsletter, and you will be very happy to receive one of those newsletters written by our marketing chief, Jörg Hampel, in person, and his team. So, yep, I hope it gives you more visibility of what we are doing along the year.
Thank you, Matthias.
You're welcome.
So we are lucky that Olivier was very precise and succinct with his demonstration. So Matthias could take a little more time to be a little bit more elaborate about the offerings. I like that, to be honest. I can talk about the two icons that you so elegantly worked around mentioning. It's on the bottom right-hand side. The DQMH consortium does have open source projects going, in case you didn't realize. Small ones, but still. All of us are big fans of open source. So we do have the command line interface for DQMH, which is an open source project. And we do have the style guide that Matthias mentioned, which is also an open source project. Well, the command line interface is a small thing that should be helpful, and the style guide can definitely be a springboard for you to take it as a starting point and then adjust it to your own team's needs and specificities. That's the idea of this, really. So we're not saying do as we say. We're not saying my way or the highway. We are quite happy with our style guide, but we understand and appreciate that other teams might have different approaches. Olivier.
Yeah, just to say it, the style guide is not related to DQMH framework. It's related to LabVIEW. This is something people are not aware of, but you can use any kind of framework or no framework at all and read the style guide. It's going to be useful, I think. Yeah, yes. Just to add this precision to.
Thank you. It is actually called the DQMH Consortium Style Guide, but we understand that it is maybe not making the point sharply enough. And with that being said, I think if we do use DQMH, it's easier to adhere to the style guide. So there's one more reason to use DQMH there. And two more things I wanted to repeat that already have been said. Matthias mentioned that we're doing a lot of testing. It is literally hundreds of hours that we invest into testing, and that's not a small thing to do. So when you think about a new version of DQMH, you think about the features, but really implementing the features is the fun part, right? Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to have a little go at it and then do a little bit of scripting here and a little bit of polishing there. But then sitting down and running a few hundred test cases 2 or 3 times, actually, this is really hard work. So kudos to everybody who gave their time to do the tests, to report back findings. And on top of that, we also rely on the community to give us feedback on things they figure out and things they find. So thank you very much. Looking back and looking forward in advance for that to anybody who is willing to give a little bit of time to share their findings, also share their ideas on the feature requests platform. We mentioned that before. And yeah, with that, we managed to use 45 minutes exactly. So thank you very much for joining this session. Thank you very much for your interest in DQMH. Like I said before, it is the greatest one yet, and we work on making the next one even better. And with that, I open up the forum to questions. Thank you. Okay, thanks for the standing ovation here, Matthias and Olivier. I guess seeing as we were 3 people, again, the teamwork makes the dream work. We were able to answer lots of the questions. I do believe that you know where to find us, right? So if you go on the internet and you look for DQMH, if you look for Olivier, Matthias, or me, I cannot imagine you not finding us. So please do not hold back with any questions that you have. Do not hold back with any feedback you want to share. You can ping us personally on the social networks. You can post to the feature request or the DQMH forums. Any place you find us, please stop and say hello. We're always up for a chat about our favorite framework. Thank you. I guess we'll stick around for another 10 minutes here. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. But yeah, if nothing else, we'll have a nice chat. And then I'm also looking forward to the other sessions that we're going to be enjoying here today at the GLA Summit. Enrique, if we had 5 or 10 minutes more time, I would definitely have loved to talk about the ecosystem around DQMH, which I think is one of the huge benefits that we can bring to the community. It's not that we only share this great tool, but there is a little community that has grown around the DQMH framework itself. And there are awesome tools that you can use many of them are available for free, starting with Panther Dashboard from Enrique, from Panther Labs, which is an awesome extension on making it easier to understand the nature of your project while you're working on it. So it's something that you have open in parallel inside the IDE. Like we said before, Antidoc, I think, is catering specifically well to DQMH. It's fair to say that, although there are projects ongoing right now to open up Antidoc to other frameworks as well, because the tool itself is agnostic. And then we have like big and small additions, I would say. We have little project providers, we have little packages you can install.
And we have some templates provided by HEC that are...
Thank you.
And I think it's fine to say it.
So I want to thank you. I want to use that to mention 2 things. We have our HSE application template, which is a ready-made Windows application starting point. It has the runtime menu, the toolbar, loading modules dynamically. So if you're looking for something like that, make sure to check it out because it's free. It's open source actually. So even if you don't like it, you can contribute and make it better. And the other thing that I want to mention is our generic networking modules. I think they are a nice addition to DQMH, which, as it is right now, does not have a native built-in networking channel. So as far as I know, the GenNet modules are the next best thing that you can use. We use it happily, our customers use it. I will be presenting more on them in the future, and I want to make them better as well. So there is a lot of things to find in the DQMH ecosystem, is I guess what we're saying here, which is yet another reason to stick with the most popular framework out there. Olivier, if you read the chat, lots of love for Antidoc.
I see that.
Rightfully
Thanks.
so. Rightfully so. But no more questions, it seems. Okay.
Yes, still we still have a couple minutes. I would like to give another shout out to Enrique's tool Panther Dashboard, because he's making a point to always, of course, he has access to the beta. Enrique is very close to, he's one of the DQMH trusted advisors. He's our head of testing. He has access to the beta. He's really close to the development, and he makes a point to always keep Panther Dashboard up to speed with the latest and greatest features of DQMH. Olivier demonstrated earlier one of the new features, for example, to have a custom timeout for request and wait for reply. For example, a new feature of Panther Dashboard that will go out very soon. You're going to be able to, within your application, to see a list of all your modules and all the requests and what timeout you have for each specific request, and even be able to customize the timeout directly from there. Enrique does a lot of scripting as well in Panther Dashboard. So it's not just exposing, documenting basically the DQMH architecture of your application, but also be able to hook into that and modify some of the stuff. So if you use DQMH, but think DQMH is great as is, I don't need any extra stuff around DQMH, it's already so good, why should I look for other additions to DQMH? You're wrong. You should definitely use Panther Dashboard and install Panther Dashboard and at least give it a try. It's a free product, and it's awesome how it integrates well with DQMH, and just it makes developing DQMH applications, DQMH-based applications, a lot easier. So thanks, Enrique, for providing this great tool.
And if you like all those tools available on VIPM.io, just think about giving a kudos to the tool. It's just take you 1 minute to do it, and it's still really pleasing for the developers of those tools.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great summit, and I'll talk to all of you soon, hopefully. Bye-bye.